we take a look at some of the most scariest and disturbing hybrid experiments ever conducted. At number 10, web spinning goats. When it comes down to sheer size, spider silk is one of the strongest materials in nature. It can be potentially used for artificial ligaments, fishing line, and even bulletproof vests. But the problem with spiders is that they are usually territorial and they usually kill each other. So it's really hard to mass produce. So the University of Wyoming inserted a particular gene into a goat so that it can produce spider silk. The milk is eventually harvested from the goat and then filtered, and what is left is an imitation silk which is 70% weaker than the original source. But researchers are working on a better strand. At number 9, glow-in-the-dark cats. When the Mayo Clinic claimed they altered one of their favorite pets, a few people were outraged and claimed animal abuse. However, these cats are injected with a jellyfish gene before birth, which would protect them from the cat's version of HIV. They're also given a glow-in-the-dark gene marker, which would indicate if they are actually carrying the protective gene. But research is still being made on dictating whether the cats are completely immune to the virus and whether humans can also be made resistant to HIV. At number 8, a banana vaccine. Researchers have already engineered several different foods to cure you from the next pandemic outbreak. But bananas are oddly enough ideal for delivering vaccines. A modified form of a virus is injected into a plant, and as it grows, cells produce virus proteins. Once you eat the fruit, it triggers the immune system to build antibodies in order to fight the virus. Now, this is not some sort of new technique. It's actually how vaccines really work. It's just converted into an edible fruit, but hopefully it does not mutate and end up killing you. And on that note, I'm going to leave it to the nurse to jab me one more time until all food vaccines are proven safe. At number 7, human milk produced by mice.
It's pure. Pull the plug, boys.
Another Simpsons episode has nearly predicted the future with rodent milk production. Intended for infants, mice produce human proteins in their milk, and even claim that it can fight fungal and bacterial infection better than the actual breast milk produced from humans. The new formula is derived from extracting human genes spliced into the mouse genome. So think twice about setting up that trap for that pesky rodent, as it might be your neighbor's milking machine. At number 6, venomous cabbage. A new GMO is made with a modified scorpion poison, and it's completely edible. It works by having only a portion of the toxic genome, so apparently it kills insects and not humans. The scary part is that every cell in the plant will contain the modified pesticide, so it will always end up with the consumer. And the result is that less outside pesticide will have to be used, and more plants will grow into full stock. There are more questions than answers on this new type of GMO, and I really hope adequate testing will be done before the super cabbage is on the consumer market. At number 5, singing mice. Your next pet bird is singing happily outside in the forest, but take caution as it might be a clever imitation from a thriving modified rodent. Scientists from Osaka University have crossbred modified mice for some time, but have finally found ones which actually sing like a bird. And there are already over 100 mice with the singing trait, which will be passed on to future generations. And the lead researcher even joked about making a real Mickey Mouse one day, which kinda scares me. At number 4, mind-controlling magnetos. Eerily named after the supervillain. Magnetos are a genetic construct which can be inserted to neurons and make them sensitive to magnetic fields. The design is based on a protein which allows more calcium ions into the cell, and then in turn triggers nerve impulses. In simple terms, they control your body. Magnetos have even been injected in mice, forcefully changing the reward pathway to be triggered once they had entered a magnetic field. Mice would artificially follow the magnetic field without any kind of resistance, similar to a zombie. It also may be possible to control humans, and in the wrong hands it could be very dangerous, but it also can lead to treating brain disorders and helping the disabled. At number 3, human pigs. A few US research centers are now moving ahead to grow human hearts, livers, and other organs inside pigs. It is very controversial and scary since it involves adding human stem cells to animal embryos. They change the DNA in the pig's embryo so that they are genetically incapable of forming a specific tissue, resulting in human cells to be injected and taking over the job in forming the organ. Once fully grown, the organs can then be extracted and used for transplants in human patients. I personally codenamed this the Frankenstein transplant. And I'm really worried about how far ethics will be pushed to save another's life. At number 2, DARPA's super soldier. The defense giant is now researching genetic manipulation in order to modify soldiers to have maximum strength, speed, and endurance. Just recently, a new breakthrough has discovered how to modify red blood cells in order to produce and deliver antidotes or antibodies. Red blood cells are an ideal candidate for modification since they last over 120 days and are unaffected. In turn, the body can then fight off deadly toxins, remove cholesterol, treat clots, and even fight diseases. It is one further step to immortality, and combined with nanotechnology and 3D printing organs, there may be no such thing as a natural death. At number 1, HeLa cells. Back in the 50s, a young woman was diagnosed with cervical cancer and shortly died after the heartbreaking news. But some of her cancer cells were extracted without her or the family's knowledge. Doctors soon realized that the cells were unique and kept growing in artificial environments. They can divide indefinitely, and that is why they carry the nickname of immortal cells. Billions upon billions of cells are now in laboratories and have been used for several vaccines, cloning, and even gene mapping. Even though it's been proven that the cells are not exactly like their original host genome, in a way, millions of people carry a piece of this dead person, and it's actually kind of alarming. The whole experiment has been very controversial and has led to several court cases, but it also has helped to lead to strong regulations which uphold proper consent. The family ultimately found out that 20 years later that their daughter was used for a grand experiment, and it's one of the most shocking medical stories I've ever heard of. So once again, thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel.